Bitcoin uses about 0.5% of global energy. And that energy that it does use is mostly stranded energy or renewable energy. It's said that 60% of the current Bitcoin energy usage is renewable energy, and that number is growing. So the actual amount of energy that Bitcoin uses is minuscule in terms of the global energy usage. I call this to be a bit of a red herring because the ability to have money that is a separate state from money, and this is what Bitcoin does. You obviously, if you're a nation state or a central bank, that would be worrying to you because suddenly there's a system of money that exists completely outside of your control. It's impossible to ban. China found that it was impossible to ban Bitcoin. India tried to ban Bitcoin. They couldn't ban Bitcoin. It's impossible to ban Bitcoin. The same way you can't ban P2P file swapping. Remember when that was introduced, and it totally transformed the entertainment industry because there was no way to stop P2P file swapping of intellectual property. And still to this day, it's an encrypted P2P file swapping that cannot be challenged or stopped. And Bitcoin represents an impregnable wall of encryption. Are protected by that impregnable wall of encryption that only you have access to, but nobody else, not a government or a group of governments or a military, has access to that fund. So it establishes, it defies and challenges the status quo. And so they bring up this energy question because I think it's a way to get in the news, it's a way to get headlines, but it doesn't actually add up. With Bitcoin, it's incredibly energy efficient in ways that you don't find in other industries that are related to money. For example, the gold mining industry is nowhere near as energy efficient as Bitcoin. And certainly the fiat money world is a complete energy catastrophe. I know, we can say that in the United States, again, let's quote Paul Krugman again. When asked what backs the US dollar, he said men with guns. And what he's referring to is the US military. And that's 1.5 trillion or more dollars per year of our tax money to fund the Pentagon to defend the dollar. That's their primary job. So and Bitcoin can replace the dollar, so that means you can get rid of that expense, that line item on the budget. If you're a politician that is supported by defense contractors, that doesn't sound good to you either. So they create a lot of scaremongering around the Bitcoin energy usage, but when you dig down into the numbers, it's fallacious. There's absolutely no statistical, analytical basis for those scaremongering tactics. But the headlines scream at people's face and they just jump to conclusions, the way it is in the media business, Michelle. There's not a lot of nuance, is there? There's just a lot of scaremongering. So, but there's no substance to it. It makes no sense. In El Salvador, their energy usage is going to go up because the economy is growing, but their carbon footprint's going to go down.
Yeah.
It's going to go down because there's going to be Bitcoin mining. And that could be the same situation for the world. Carbon emissions on planet Earth from industrial usage by humans could be cut in half with energy, while energy usage goes up if we go to a Bitcoin standard. That's how efficient Bitcoin is. He sees it as a one-off, as a kind of a unique phenomenon that's unregulatable. That's the horse has left the barn, and there's no going back at this point. So his comments are really, as you say, they're looking more at now the exchanges and how the exchanges operate. Okay, that's more in the bailiwick of the SEC and what their traditional focus should be on how to regulate exchanges. And okay, do your job and take a look at these exchanges. It doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't impact Bitcoin, the asset, at all. It may impact regionally how people are trading on exchanges in the United States versus other opportunities in other countries.
What could it be?
Well, what I would say is this, Michelle. The absolute most prudent thing anyone can do when they buy some Bitcoin is to take it off the exchange and to hold it in your own cold storage in a hard wallet or a multi-sig wallet, and don't hold any Bitcoin on any exchange at all. That's because just like when you put money in a bank, the money is technically owned by the bank, right? It's not your money anymore. So when you have Bitcoin on an exchange, you're exposing yourself to risk over there at the exchange, which you don't need to. You just never keep any Bitcoin on any exchange. Always take your Bitcoin off the exchange and self custody your Bitcoin. And is this consumer friendly? Is it
Yeah.
as easy to do? Well, no, it's not. But then again, we're talking about the ability to have a bearer instrument that's the only accessible only by you, that's unconfiscatable, uncensorable money, and it's incredibly valuable. It's like a Fabergé egg. What lengths would you go to protect your Fabergé egg? You would go to great lengths to protect it because it's very rare and it's very valuable. Bitcoin is similarly very rare, very valuable. But to your point, the broader market, the broader consumer market, I see that Google is going to be doing a deal with BitPay, and they're going to be selling some product like a Bitcoin card or something like that, some kind of consumer product. So you're going to see more consumer products and more friendly consumer products, and you're going to see the market expand, and it will increase visibility, and it will increase the learning curve, and people get more knowledgeable about it. So to that degree, I guess you could say it's a positive because it becomes more available, and people are aware of it, and then those folks that want to get deeper into it will learn more about it, and they will have that knowledge. So if you're talking about somebody with 50 or $100 in Bitcoin, it doesn't really make any difference. But if you're talking about somebody with a considerable amount of wealth in Bitcoin, they should take a slightly different path, but they naturally will. That's what rich people do, right? They know how to secure their wealth. Right. I guess the biggest pool of Bitcoin right now would be Grayscale with Barry Silbert. They've got the GBTC, and I think it's got something like 600,000 Bitcoin, and it's trading at some massive discount to NAV of 25% or so. And he's eligible to be an ETF, and that would immediately, you'd see that gap, that arbitrage would close, and that's a pretty sizable event. That would be nice to see. And it's a very retail friendly product. You've got those army of financial advisors around the world talking to people all over the world, and it's very easy to on a call to put some money into an ETF, a Bitcoin ETF, to get some exposure to Bitcoin. So it's the Merrill Lynch brokers of the world, and those folks would have a product that's very easy for them to sell.